Hi, I'm Jim Raffel, and I'm here with my business partner, Shelby Sapusek. We are the ColorCasters team, bringing you another one of our educational videos.
In each of these videos, we focus on a single topic related to color and/or printing, and we do our best to give you the information in 20 minutes or less.
Today's topic is timely because this month, March of 2022, we will see the Pantone libraries leaving the Adobe Creative Cloud software apps. This will, of course, have a pretty big impact on designers and printers in the industry.
Pantone and X-Rite announced this change back in December of 2021, but it seems like there's still many in our industry who are unaware that this change is happening. If you just heard about this recently, or if you heard about it months ago and aren't sure how to handle it, don't panic. We're here to explain what's happening and to show you some on-screen solutions and workarounds. We want to say too that we're not, the be-all end-all when it comes to this solution. There's a lot of different things we're going to show you, and it really depends on your shop and your situation on what you think is going to work best.
Yeah, and also I guess it's important to say that Pantone's not necessarily leaving Adobe; they're just changing the relationship. It's not there's no longer going to be free access to a version of the Pantone libraries in the Adobe products. That's really what's changing. And Shelby's going to show you the actual official Pantone app that will be available. That there is a free version. And then there'll be paid versions. And before we get to that, though, through one of my other companies, Color Metrics, I actually have a relationship with Pantone. We are I don't know the exact term, I can't remember anymore, but we're a Pantone developer. So we've developed a cloud-based application that actually connects to the Pantone Live libraries. And so I'm not a detractor from Pantone. I actually support the Pantone system. I think that they add a lot of value to the color and printing ecosystem. But that also means that you have to be willing to subscribe to the Pantone Connect as being the best solution in the long run. I make no money if you do. And I think they've come up with a pretty reasonable pricing structure, I think, which Shelby's going to cover. But, just to give it away a little bit, it's $60 a year. When you're paying $55 a month for the actual apps, I think you can probably afford the $60 a year if you're using Pantone. I think that's one of the reasons they've disconnected it too, Shelby. And, you can throw in your thoughts on this and then, take over the screen and start showing people things. But I think one of the reasons they disconnected it is there's a whole bunch of people who use the Pantone or the Adobe applications that really have no need for the Pantone libraries. That's my guess. So
it's possible. I'm not really sure why, that we're doing this disconnect, but it doesn't matter. It is happening, and it's just something that designers and printers in the industry are going to have to deal with. And yes, I agree with you completely. If you are a shop or a person, a designer who uses Pantones all the time, the best, easiest solution is just to subscribe to Pantone Connect. So all I did to find it, I put in Pantone Connect Adobe, and it's this one, the second one right here, exchange.adobe.com. Now, you may have to log in, and then it's going to bring you to this page under Adobe Exchange. It shows you right here that the 3 software programs that it's connecting to, it's basically a plugin. It looks like an app, but it's a plugin. But it's Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. Here's everything about what it does, and here's that fee for premium, $7.99 a month, or as Jim said, $59.99 a year.
Can I add something else about pricing that remember we found out?
Yes.
We did find out that for those of you who still buy the Pantone books, if your books are, when your book is new, on the back, there's actually a code. And I don't have a book to show you, but on the back, there's an actual code. And or it might be in the front on the first page. There's like a license code. You can plug that license code into your Pantone Connect application. And my recollection is that each book gets you 3 free months of Pantone Connect. So if for some reason you're buying 4 books a year for your shop and you're the only person who actually needs access to the Pantone libraries in Creative Cloud, guess what? You got it for free as long as you keep your books up to date every year, which you should be anyway. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's a very good point. Very good point. So you would click this Install Now button, and then it would be connected as a plugin to Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. I'm going to show you Illustrator because, and I'm going to get rid of this. So Illustrator works best, I think, with Pantones, and that's why I'm using Illustrator, because most of the time in print shops, we're working with vector art, and Illustrator works better of the Adobe products with vector art. So that's why I'm showing you Adobe first. So the way that you see Pantone Connect is you go to Window and Extensions, and once you've installed it, you'll have this Pantone Connect. You will have to create an account for Pantone Connect. I've already done that, so it's just gonna pop up for me. So this is what Pantone Connect looks like once, remember, I'm inside the Adobe Illustrator app, and I can pick which Pantone library I want to work in. And let's say I want to work with Coded. The very first time you do this, they're going to give you a free color. So when I picked this yellow, for example, if I picked this, it would show up over here in my fill, and that would be my one free color. After that, it goes to this. It's going to ask you to buy premium to actually use the colors. So here's how that pricing structure looks and what you get. Here's interesting, we should talk about with teams if you want to do per user, because this is one user, right? Which is fine, but that's something you're going to have to think about if you are a shop that has many designers. Are you going to need Pantone Connect Premium for more than one user? So just be aware of that. But as you can see, in Basic, I can't add Pantones to Adobe swatches. That's not available. So if you want to be able to do that, this is the way to do it. That's probably the correct way to do it. But if I go back to free, now let's say I'm a shop that really I have just one customer who only uses one Pantone color, and well, okay, it's this one. Well, I'm not sure subscribing would be, worth it if you're just dealing with one Pantone color. This is a really, really silly, easy way to do it, but I can take a screenshot of this and I can just drag this onto my Illustrator doc, use my eyedropper tool to get the color, and then I can add it to my swatches if I want to. Is that perfect? Yeah, okay. I wouldn't want to try to create an entire Pantone library that way. That would be a very time-consuming task. But if you only deal with one or two, this is an okay workaround until you have more Pantones, and then you probably want to subscribe.
Well, then don't you have to go in and make that a spot color and give it the right name and everything?
Yes, you would want to. Yep. Yeah. So you would, you could add it to your swatches, and so that's one thing.
Because really, now that I think about it, you won't even have to go as far as you went. You could, if you want to get the approximate color, that's probably a good way to do it. But
right.
You just create the color, and as long as you name it properly, from my perspective as the guy who works with the printers in the shop, it's going to come through the RIP software. And as long as you've named it exactly properly, as we always teach people, uppercase, lowercase, all the right spaces, if you name the color perfectly, when it goes through the rest of your color workflow into places where the Pantone library might be licensed, like your RIP software, it will function correctly.
Right. So exactly, and again, that's a really, really quick workaround for someone who only deals with one or two Pantones. Likely people are dealing with the actual Pantone libraries. So the way that we get to our color books where the Pantones live now is you go open up your swatches, you go to Open Swatch Library, you go to Color Books, and here's where they all reside. And this is where they're going to, from what I understand, not reside anymore. You're not going to be able to go to Open Swatch Library, Color Books, and find these, from what I understand, sometime in March of 2022. So what you can do, and I've done this already, that's why I have this over here, but normally this would just be our default swatches. So what I did to save a Pantone swatch library is, so if I hover over here, this is none, and this is registration. So grab the first one, the first swatch you can after those two, hold down Shift, and go to the last one, and you'll see that they're highlighted. If you don't have delete swatches as an option, you accidentally grabbed one of the first two in the field. So I can delete swatches. It'll ask me if I really want to do that. I'll say yes. This is going to take a minute because this is a Pantone library that I imported earlier. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here where I have my library that I pulled up. This is for metallic coated. And I'm just going to bring, I highlighted it the same way. And I'm going to say add to swatches. So then it comes over here. So now I have them, right? And they're all still spots. This is great. So then I go down to save swatch library as ASE. ASE files are Adobe swatch exchange files. That's what that means. It's already going to put it in the correct folder. And here's the tree of how you get to that folder. That's important because what you can do is you can copy and paste the swatch ASE file onto your desktop, and then you can open it in Photoshop and Illustrator without having to try to go find it. What I suggest, though, is make sure that you are labeling this exactly as the library is. It's going to tell me when I do that, that it's not going to be able to save gradients and patterns. That's okay. Pantone doesn't have those anyway. But if you were trying to save down an ASE file that did have gradients and patterns, they would not be exchangeable. So now I have that in there. So now, if I go back to swatches, I want to open a swatch library. I have user defined down here. Can you see that okay? These are the three that I have copied in my experiments. This is the one I just did. This is the one I did earlier today. This is the one I did last week. So now I have those and I can open them up. So there it is again. The other thing that we talked about is, these are technically color books. So if you go to applications and I go into my Adobe Illustrator file, I go into presets. This means English US. And I go in here and I go into swatches, and then I go into color books. Here's all those color books that you see when you go to that menu I was showing you, right? It's possible, ACB means Adobe Color Book. That's what that extension means. It's possible that before you update where these aren't available anymore, it's possible you might be able to copy these down and put them back in this color books folder and they would be there again. Possible. Haven't tried it yet because I haven't updated to the point where they're not available anymore, but I am going to copy these down and see if that works.
Grab the swatches too. You want to grab it. I think you want to grab the color books and the swatches. I just want to emphasize that what Shelby is showing you are workarounds. We're not trying to, game the system or figure out a way to not have to pay for Pantone Connect. We actually think you should. I mean, I'm going to make it perfectly clear that we think that if you use the Pantone products and you use the Pantone libraries, you should use Pantone Connect, not because you're enriching to X-Rite Pantone, but because it actually works better. The libraries that have been included with Adobe have always been, a generation perhaps behind. They're for a specific illuminant and observer, which talks about the viewing conditions, and it happens to be one without UV content. There is truncation of decimal places going on, at least in what you see on the screen. So we wonder if that's also going on in transfer of data to other applications. So there were some limitations with what was being included with the Adobe apps. And by using Pantone Connect, you'll always be connected to the most current version of the digital libraries, the correct representations of the colors, the correct names of the colors, which means you'll be sending the correct information through the color workflow to other designers, to RIP software, and then ultimately out to a printed piece. So
yeah, I think, and I want to reiterate too, those workarounds that I showed you just now, they are temporary solutions. This is for someone who's not ready to decide how they want to do that. Maybe you're going to subscribe to Pantone Connect, but you haven't yet decided how many seats you need, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a way to buy you a little bit of time, right? Mm-hmm. You can also consider not updating your Adobe apps right away. You're going to have to eventually, but you can consider holding off on that for a week or two until you make this decision, because we don't know exactly when in March this is going to happen. But remember, these workarounds are okay for the colors that exist now. That's not going to help you when they start adding new colors at all.
Right.
You're going to need Pantone Connect.
Absolutely. So, all right. That's all I got.
So yeah, thank you for taking the time today. We hope you found this educational video helpful.
And if you have additional information on this topic, or if you'd like to suggest a future topic, please email either myself, Jim at ColorCasters, or Shelby at ColorCasters. And we'll see you soon.